Hi, welcome to another On the Sunny Side of the Street. I'm your host, Todd Gross, a clinical psychologist in Newton. And you know, our show for the past 11 years has really tried to highlight the positive side of people and human nature instead of all the bad news that you hear on the media. And we all know there are a lot of complex problems that everybody faces in life, but one part of the sunny side of the street is how certain people see a need and they decide we're going to develop a program to really meet that need. And today we're going to look at a program that started just that way, and we have in the studio to help us people who are currently involved with this program called The Second Step. And it's a wonderful program in Newton, so we really want you to learn about it and hear what they have to say. So first, to introduce some of the people that are going to be talking about it. On my left is Sarah Perry, our Executive Director of The Second Step. How you doing, Sarah?
Great, thank you. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you so much for coming. And to her left is Carol Thompson, who's the Director of Community Programs at The Second Step. How you doing,
Hi,
Carol?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Glad you're
really
here.
Excited to be here.
And last, to her left, we have Donna Marie, who's a survivor and a client of The Second Step, who can really help us with a very valuable perspective on this too. Donna, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much for having us.
Oh, glad you're here. Well, maybe as a way to start, if you could tell the audience a little bit about what The Second Step is and its history, whoever wants to tackle that, and you can all chime in, but just so people get an idea of what this program means.
Sure, I can take that.
Thanks,
but
Sarah.
Carol has been with us for 15 years, so I will also let her chime in. And
Wonderful.
She knows the history a lot better than I do. I'm still a little bit of a rookie.
Okay.
But we started in 1992, so this is our 23rd year of operation. We operate in Newton, where we have several residences, but also in surrounding towns where we serve what's called our community programs, and Carol will tell you more about that.
Okay.
Our mission has not changed since we've been around. Our mission is to foster the safety, stability, and well-being of survivors of domestic violence.
Yes.
Also, to educate and prevent and raise awareness of the issue of domestic violence so that we can end it
Yes.
in our time. So that mission has fundamentally not changed over time.
I see.
There's a tremendous need, unfortunately, for the services that we provide and our sister agencies provide. Domestic violence affects 1 in 4 households.
It's a terrible figure.
It's a terrible figure. It's really, and we only have to look at the newspapers every day to realize how prevalent
Absolutely.
and how pervasive this issue is. And we define domestic violence or intimate partner abuse as not just physical violence, but also the many other forms that abuse can take. Sexual violence, psychological, verbal, emotional, all the kinds of things that even sometimes are even more harmful and hurtful.
People don't realize that, but it hurts a big lot.
That's exactly right, and those are inner bruises that take a lot longer to heal than external ones. So domestic violence is really, it's a pattern of controlling and intimidating behavior that one partner uses over another to control them in an intimate relationship, and it has devastating consequences.
We had that recent news story about Jerry Remy's son.
That's exactly
Horrible
right.
story, yeah.
That's exactly
I get
right.
what you're saying.
So that's the issue that we're
Okay.
that we're working with. There's a tremendous need, and every year, and Carol can tell you a little bit more, but we have in our 2 homes that we have can house up to 16 families at any given time with their children. So lots and lots of babies around and lots of kids. So about 60 people there, and in our community programs, about 250 or 300 families every year.
Wow. Carol, anything you want to add to that? I appreciate what you said too, Sarah.
Well, over the last 15 years that I've been part of Second Step,
Yeah.
I've watched Second Step evolve from that initial house that served 8 families at a time. And in those days, we were turning away anywhere from 70 to 100 families. And at the point that I came in the door, I was actually just working a part-time job there and fell in love with the work. And at
Wow.
that time, we had just received a grant to start to serve those families we were turning away. And so, although we couldn't offer them the immediate housing they were looking for, we had some money to help stabilize these families and then begin to build in some wraparound services,
I
begin to
see.
sort of hook them up with some resources. And
see.
over time, we've added a second house, and the community program has expanded. We now have 4 advocates and
Wow.
a wonderful staff attorney that is part of our Steps to Justice program. So we are growing and expanding with the need, and really the voices of survivors have influenced the work and the programming that we have that
I
we
love
have brought
that.
into the
That model
program.
makes total sense to me.
does,
And
it does.
moving to that, maybe Donna can offer some of her thoughts on this too. A little bit about, and then I'll also ask this question of both of you about how you got involved. How you involved, and a little bit of what that involvement, how you decided to get involved in this. For you, Donna, your perspective could help a lot of people listening out there, I think, and that's why I appreciate so much you're here.
Thank you. I was kind of on the fence when I got involved with Second Step, meaning 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Yes.
Only because I truly didn't believe I was a victim of a domestic violence.
Right.
It had been normal my whole life, just that type of behavior.
I see.
Just the type of abuse, the yelling, the screaming, the physicalness of it. But it had been a part of my life, all my life. So being
was
in a
the
domestic,
normal.
right, it was my normal. So being in a domestic violence relationship didn't seem any different than anything else that I had endured in my life. So it wasn't until I was at the Second Step that I began to realize that domestic violence I'm in a domestic violence relationship. I was in a domestic violence relationship.
What gave you the courage, Donna, to even connect to the Second Step? Because I know there might be people listening that are wondering, well, I don't know if this is relevant for me. And you're saying even you had questions about whether it was. But what gave you the courage to try it out?
A friend of mine that actually works at the Second Step, she just kept telling me, you're in a domestic violence relationship. And I kept saying, no, I'm not. So
Yeah.
that's how it kind of came
That's
about.
so interesting.
We kind of went back and forth, and she's like, just come in and, we'll do the paperwork. And doing the paperwork, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am in a domestic violence relationship.
Wow.
So
So
it was
that was
kind of-
where you first got this feeling of, oh, wait a minute, maybe this is
Right.
part of what my experience is.
Right, it was one of the first times. And then just the healing process throughout the programs that I became involved with at the Second Step.
I'm going to hear a lot more about that. That's going to be very valuable too. Sarah, I just wanted to ask you, I heard a little of how Carol got involved, but you can add, but how did you get involved in this position too?
Well, interesting. I just finished my 1-year anniversary at the Second Step.
Congratulations.
So thank you. It's been a great year. I had known about the Second Step I've lived in Newton for 13 years now. And it's a very, as you know, it's a organization that's very beloved in the community.
Yes,
and,
a lot of positive
and
feelings about it.
There are, and we're so grateful to for that. Not only because because the creation of community and the support of community, not just City Hall and the police department and the hospital, but all the community organizations, all the volunteers, all the people who show us, and supporters who show us support and really make our work possible and expand our capacity to be able to do what we do and help our survivors to feel less isolated and more socially connected.
Yes.
So I had known about the organization both through having hosted a dinner for it.
Oh, nice.
We do a fundraiser in the fall called Step Up to the Plate, and someone had asked me, and I said,
yeah.
absolutely, sounds wonderful. And my children's school had done some drives for the Second Step to bring in hats and mittens in the wintertime and things like that.
Nice. Yeah.
So it was on my radar, and I, a couple years ago, was running a program at Harvard Business School that did pro bono consulting projects to nonprofits in the Boston area. But I wanted to be really on the ground in an issue, working in an issue that was really important to me and something that I really cared about.
Makes sense.
And women's issues and issues of social justice, issues of oppression, all those things have always been things that have been just very, very deep in terms of my passions and where I wanted to make a difference. So when the position became available, I interviewed for it. Carol actually interviewed me.
Oh, did you really?
So you
That's
can
cool.
blame her if there is. And even through the process of interviewing, and certainly over the course of this year, my depth of passion for this issue has only just grown and grown and grown. What I thought I knew about the statistics that I was talking about before, I did know those beforehand, but it's really through speaking with survivors, through having
comes alive
spoken
through
to
the
people.
people.
I see it through a very different lens. That's
Makes
exactly
sense.
right.
That really
and I
makes
feel it on a
sense.
very visceral level, and it's now, it's my life's work, as it
That's
is
wonderful.
for everyone who works at the Second Step and is deeply committed and passionate to the work
Thank
that
you
we
for
do.
that. That's beautiful. And Carol, a little more on how you got started too.
Well, this was not my career starting out.
Oh, what did you
I'm
start
from the
with?
world of college student development. I was an
Oh.
associate dean for student life at a small women's college. I was in between jobs,
Yeah.
and I realized when I was working in student life that domestic violence was a prevalent issue on our campus. And as a member of a larger consortium of other colleges and universities, it really was a prevalent issue across the board. And I had also experienced personally some domestic violence in my own life and was
Yes.
inspired by sort of doing some work that would really make a difference in that way. And I was in between jobs. I took a part-time job at the Second Step, didn't know what the Second Step was at the time.
Uh-huh.
And once I came in the doors, I just fell in love with it and really, began to wonder if I could do this work, that, it was something I felt so passionate about. And once I was there for a few weeks, I was hooked and decided to do the work and to do the studying that I needed to do in order to make this my career.
That's great.
and I'm
We'll hear
very-
from all three of you. Just to build on that, a little bit of anybody who wants to chime in this, but for the people watching, I would love them to know some of the different kind of programs and services you provide, because when I went on the website, I saw things about housing, tutoring, children's services. I'd love them to hear if they get involved in it, if they receive services, what kinds of services there are, and then later on we'll talk about what they could do if they want to volunteer too. But
Okay.
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about the guts of the program, some of the things you
Well,
guys
survivors
do.
come to us anywhere along that continuum of
Yeah.
experiencing domestic violence and healing from domestic violence.
Okay.
As Sarah mentioned earlier, we have a residential program, which is where we began. Our transitional housing program houses 16 families at a time who come to us from domestic violence shelters. So they're in the process of, they're homeless, they're in the process of beginning to build their lives back.
So the first step is they've left the abusive relationship, and the second step is to engage with you guys.
Right, and in that residential program, they get some intensive services, wraparound services. We make sure that the families have seen the doctor, the dentist, the therapist.
Yes.
We work with the survivors to figure out what it is that she's wanting to do with her life. What is her big dream? And how does she begin to build those stepping stones toward that big dream? And while families are living at the second step, they have up to 2 years to really stabilize and put those pieces in place
Nice.
so that they can move on into the community eventually and stabilize. Now, in the community program, many of the survivors have never lived in our residential program. They are folks that are in the community that might be currently in the domestic violence relationship and are trying to figure out some strategies to move beyond that.
So they might even still be in the same house, and the relationship
Yes.
may be ongoing.
Absolutely, and in that case, we do some very intensive safety planning. We work with them while they're in that crisis to
see.
help them sort of navigate either leaving if that's what they're choosing to do. We know that the leaving time is the most dangerous, and so we're building in some programs and some resources to help them with that process. And then the other end of the spectrum are folks like Donna, who have been through the domestic violence relationship. They've left the relationship, but they're still struggling, trying to build those pieces back into their lives.
Sure.
And so we have sort of a two-pronged approach, sort of dealing with the crisis. We do the safety planning. We have advocates that work to build in resources and to help that family move beyond that crisis. But then we know that's just the beginning of where the healing is. And so domestic violence is very isolating and debilitates self-esteem.
Yes.
So we've pulled together lots of volunteers in our community. Our survivors have asked for certain programs, that survivors come together in healing, non-judgmental relationships and create community with each other. You know, we hold the space, and it's the survivors that come together and heal in the process. We have a variety of different groups. We have narrative healing groups. We're in the process of writing a book at the moment
That's
that is
exciting.
going to be published very shortly.
Wow, that's great.
We have women's nurturing groups where we explore healing modalities. We have support groups for survivors who are either in the process of coming apart from their abusers or really still struggling. So we really have a range of services in order to support survivors in their process. At the end of the year, we have a family retreat. We have programs for kids and moms.
That's what I was going to ask about the children too, yeah.
We've partnered with a local college, and we have college students trained to work with the children, so as mentors, while the moms have time to sit together in their healing groups. And at the end of the year, we meet all year long, and at the end of the year, we have this wonderful family retreat where we build happy memories, we take healthy risks, we try new healing modalities, we
Howl at
stretch.
the moon.
Howl at the moon.
All sorts of, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Are there legal services too, if they need them?
We
That's
have a
part of
Steps
the
to
support?
Justice program with a staff attorney and some pro bono
Great.
attorneys built into that. We certainly will support survivors as they're navigating that legal process.
What I love is not only the services you provide, but the philosophy about letting them be governed by what the needs are that are expressed by the survivors themselves.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
And from your point of view, I would love to hear your insights just about how you look at the services that they provide.
I think the services are great.
Yeah.
I think the services have helped me tremendously. I think that they have also helped a lot of other women who I've become close with, just in the circle that we've created for ourselves. We've come from a community of hopelessness to a community of hope.
Well said.
And
Well said.
we've been able to bond and to build up each other, so that even if we can't get to second step, we can help each other. So we've kind of bonded in the name of sisterhood.
I love it. And what that brings up for people who are watching, I want to make sure you would agree with this, is that not only is this a one-way street, like I receive help, but you're also giving help at the same time too, which is empowering itself.
Yes, it is. It's very empowering. And it's very helpful for us to know that we can also give back.
Yes.
Because where so much has been taken from us, we don't know that we can give back because we've been hurt so badly.
Yeah.
So I think that the fact that we're able to give back and Second Step allows us that growth process and that freedom and that chance to give back.
It also, to me, makes the point when you're trying to recover from a situation like that, you need a whole system of support. It isn't just a person. The people matter a lot who are giving the support, as you mentioned, the sisterhood too, but it's that you feel you're part of another community that's an option, that you fit and you have an important place in.
Right.
Very deeply meaningful, I would think.
It is, because we sit at a table. So while we're sitting at a table,
Yes.
we all realize that there's a reflection of us sitting. We're looking at a reflection of ourselves with the other person sitting across from us.
Absolutely,
We
yeah.
may come from different events, but we've all somehow have the same experience in terms of the domestic violence. We come from different walks of life, but we
Sure.
have one common thread, and that's just to get better, to heal, but to also to still love ourselves, but to love each other.
So well said. Thank you. The piece about the community, the larger community, I wanted to ask a little bit about two questions related, both the funding for the program, how you get it, and also the connection to all kinds of community services, because that was one thing that impressed me also when I looked at the website. You're connected. There's so many organizations involved that are involved with working with you guys. So if you could speak to both those a little, that would help.
Yeah, absolutely. On the funding piece,
Yeah.
about 40% of our funding is government funding.
Yes.
Through housing and urban development grants for the Department of Children and Families, through state and local funding.
Okay.
And that's pretty standard. Actually used to be more, but as there have been cuts in government programs, that has
Okay.
gone away as well.
Yeah.
The rest of it really is from the generosity of corporations and individuals and foundations from some of the events that we do. So through we raise through private dollars, and our budget is about $1.7 million a year. So that's quite a lot that needs to be raised. One of the things that we've started doing, and that I'm very excited about, is that we realize that in order to provide the services at the quality that we need, and to really pay people for what they're doing, and to really build the infrastructure and the capacity to do the things that we're really good at, and they're providing the unique services, that we need to be as financially self-sustaining as we can. So we have built some cause-related marketing partnerships with organizations in the area
Yes.
that are mutually beneficial. We've also created some branded merchandise, like, you're not wearing it right now. We have a necklace, we have some CDs, some juice products, a couple of other products that
Okay.
that raise revenue for us as well. So it's another way of trying to build revenue streams, ongoing revenue streams for ourselves, so that we can be sustainable in the long term.
I see.
In terms of the community organizations that you were
Yes.
talking about, it's really very extensive, and we have such wonderful
I was
relationships.
amazed looking at it.
Because we know what we're really good at, and then we know other organizations who are amazing. For example, an organization called Families First that does parenting programs. Many of the local banks that are so generous in terms of providing financial literacy to us. Experts in childhood trauma who come in and work in our after-school program. in the houses. Horizons for
Very
Homeless Children
important
has
for those
volunteers.
children who have experienced the same violence.
That's exactly right. And we have people who provide funding for our children to go to camps in the summer. The Glidden
Really?
Foundation. We have lots. I'm going to obviously miss so many of our generous funders, but it really is one of these things where that is such a key component of what we do, not only because it provides the resources and the capacity for us, but because it provides the community that you were just talking about, and access to meaningful resources, which is
Yes.
one of the things that we consider absolutely critical
Right.
for survivors to rebuild and to move on with their lives, and to know where to go when you need this type of service or that type of health care or this type of
Sure.
And so we are very committed to creating that network of relationships and community so that people can move on. And Newton, as you know, is a very wealthy community, but there's also a lot of places in Newton that are not.
That's true.
And we don't want Newton to be a tale of two cities, a community of haves and have-nots. We want
Absolutely.
people to be able to, we're a touch point at the second step for people. So whether they stay in Newton or not, we want to continue to be a place people can come back to whenever they have a need. We also want people to be able to stay in Newton if they want, because their kids can go to school here, because there's lots of amazing resources.
Right.
And not feel isolated and not feel like they have the resources. So we work on providing that as well.
That's wonderful.
And we
Yeah.
also have so many volunteers from the community.
Would you
that
talk a
are-
little about that? I'd
Yes,
love to hear. For
absolutely.
people watching too, how can we help? You know, it may be people think about the funds and helping out with the money, but there are also other ways as well. So, and we will be
Absolutely.
flashing the website and phone numbers for people as we're talking too.
Sure. We have lots of places where we depend on volunteers who really do expand our capacity. So we have a variety. Sarah was mentioning our therapeutic after school program. We have a variety of volunteers that come in and watch the kids while the moms are in their meetings, for
Oh,
example.
nice. Very important.
We
yeah.
have retired teachers and folks in the community that are reaching out to do provide tutoring help or help someone with English as a second language. In our
Wonderful.
nurturing groups, we have a variety of therapists and folks who are really connected to us, who provide Reiki and acupuncture.
They're laughing because my wife Jackie, part of the show here too, has helped out there too. And she loves it. Yes.
Absolutely. And it's such a gift to us when people are willing to come and share their expertise with us. At our retreat this year, we had a drumming therapist who started
nice.
a women's
So
drumming
music,
circle.
too.
We have a group of folks in the community, moms and kids, who cook for a variety of our
Really?
different meetings. Part of our nurturing groups is all about nurturing people with food. And so we come together around the table and share a meal together, provided by these amazing, generous folks in the community.
That,
really
I'm curious, Donna, if you feel from what they're both saying, have you had that sense that there's all these people out in the community that care and are involved too?
Yes, I do. I do feel that there's a lot. I especially feel it more so because they have a Christmas drive. And I think a lot of us
read
have
about that with
Yeah.
the toys. Yeah.
children who are older who kind of miss the tots. From
Yeah.
whatever that program is, the
Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots.
Yes.
So we have older children. So I mean that helps out. There's also I
Our
forgot this.
backpack drive.
Yes, the backpack drive, which is when the children go back to school, their backpacks are filled with everything that they need for school, which is great because it helps us to not go out and have to buy that backpack
Yes.
and buy all the necessities that are needed for each child, because some parents have more than just one child
Yes,
in the program.
absolutely.
So it's very helpful.
What would you guys say to potential volunteers that might be watching the show now to encourage them that they could make a difference too?
It's really nice. Well, I always say start from your strength. So if your
Yes.
strength is you know how to work with children, or if your strength
Yep.
is that you know how to organize a drive, or you have a particular healing modality, or you love to cook, always
Yes.
start from what your passion is, because then it really comes from the heart.
That makes sense.
Right, and I think that that's amazing. And we have people also who who will answer front desks in our the phones at our front desk. We have people who will help us when we have big mailings.
Yeah.
People at communities of faith and schools who will know that we always need things like sheets, towels, toiletries,
Yes,
things
the
like
day-to-day
that.
things.
The things that, yeah, exactly, food cards, things like that, and those things are tremendous. So, there's lots of things that people can do to get involved, and it doesn't have to be a one-off. It can be really deep, meaningful relationships over the long term.
I appreciate
where people
what you're
can
saying.
stay with us for a long time, and so and even opportunities for children to get involved at some of our things. They can't go work in the houses, but there's landscaping projects and great projects that are really fun for kids and really show
Good
kids
to know.
that
I work with a lot of teenagers, and it'd be good to know about opportunities for them here.
Sure,
There's a lot
sure.
of
Plus,
great
I like what they'd be
opportunities.
learning about being part of something that's important, the goals underneath this.
That's
too.
right.
And something as simple as doing a drive at the local schools. We had second graders one year that were
Yeah.
doing a reading project. So they were reading books and getting and sort of earning money for doing their reading, and then they donated the books and the money that they earned
Really?
to the second step.
I want to add that I just realized we did a show a few months ago. You probably know these people, the Diva Day Foundation. And the singers came on, and they talked about how they sing and the money, the proceeds they would give, towards the same cause.
That's amazing.
I learned
If we
about
were to
them from
sing, we wouldn't make any money at all. We would really
Maybe we need to
appreciate-
collaborate.
Yeah, we can find the divas. It might be a big turnoff, actually.
Well, we get just a minute or so left, but there's also training, right? You do some training for some of the people. Do people get some training in terms of working there too?
Well, the internal training, Sarah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about training
Yeah.
for our staff?
Yes,
or training
yeah, for staff, yeah.
Absolutely. We have new staff go through trauma-based training, cultural training and cultural competence, a whole bunch of things we really invest in our people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, every organization is about people, right?
Right.
It's about the people that we work with and partner with as program participants and about the people who are in our organization.
Yeah.
And they also need training in how to take care of self-care because secondary trauma is such a big part of this work. It's very hard to be doing this kind of work. We don't want people to burn out. So we build in a whole bunch of training around the skills, the clinical skills, but also the kind of self-care skills so that people can really be successful with the organization long term. We're
That makes
very,
a lot of sense.
we really want to invest in our people, and that's what we're focused on.
That makes sense.
Sure. And for volunteers that work with us, we also provide domestic violence training and really teach people about the dynamics of domestic violence
Yes.
and how best to help.
Right.
Very good.
We know that domestic violence is so incredibly isolating and that survivors, it takes a long time for survivors to reach out. We want to be that place that understands and is
Sure.
empathic. We want to make sure that people aren't coming forth with judgment and that sort of thing, so
Right.
that
Oh,
we are
yes. And
we
those
are
principles
extending.
of confidentiality and safety.
Absolutely,
Also.
Right.
absolutely.
Sure. Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys have done an amazing job of helping our viewers see about an amazing program. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope for those of you watching, if you really are interested, get involved. See if you can help. You will see a phone number. You will see a website. People will respond.
Thank
right?
you so much. Yes,
Thank
they
you.
always
Thank
have.
you
We
again.
really
It was-
appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
you guys were wonderful, and thank you for coming. And we'd like to thank all of you for watching, and hope that you'll tune in again for another On the Sunny Side of the Street.
Grab
real
your
soon.
coat
Take care,
and
everybody.
get your hat. Leave your worry
Now we-
on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street.